So the real question is, why am I here to talk to you? I don't share much in common with your industry. We're from a different place. But there's a couple of reasons. And one of them you saw in the montage, unfortunately, was the Columbia accident. So that day I actually saw it happen. I actually saw two people I knew, I worked with, I was friends with, actually died in front of my face. We were on February 1st, 2003. I was actually driving north on Interstate 45 in Houston, heading to the airport, and the Columbia vehicle was re-entering above, at that point above North Texas, just over Dallas. And we saw it happen. Had no idea what we were looking at until we got to the airport and saw the TV screens. And so we take this very personally.
This is, if you don't pick up one strategy from this today, please take this. It's the most awesome place to start noticing possibilities at work. This phrase right here, it's probably just, is the most dangerous three-word phrase in complex work. And because remember I talked about possibilities? What's happening here is you're sensing that there are possibilities, but yet you're staying in that probability, and I can guarantee you're going to pick something simple, you're going to pick something that happens all the time, and you have just narrowed your vision to one possibility of what you probably think it is. Listen to yourself in your own head, listen to others saying it, and then take a step and ask, what else could this possibly be?
Got a great example here. EVA 23, you just saw the story. EVA 35, so 12 EVAs later, during the EVA, one of the astronauts started feeling water in the back of his helmet. Luckily, it was near the end of an EVA. It was close to the airlock. We got him inside. Wasn't anything like what Luca went through. When we got inside, we started looking. We ran some tests. We confirmed that it was not the issue that caused EVA 23, and we knew it wasn't that at all. And so eventually, we did enough study to realize that it was just a situation where we had a hot environment, a new crew member, he sweated a lot, he was running hot, we were working him hard, we had a device inside called a sublimator. That particular sublimator wasn't quite as efficient as the others, and it led to a little bit of water getting his helmet. We got comfortable that was the answer. Come EVA 80, a couple months ago, some of you maybe have heard this in the news, that we are essentially no-go for our EVAs right now. At the end of that EVA, we also found a significant amount of water, and some of the echoes we started hearing from our team was this. It's probably, it's the same sublimator. And it was the same sublimator. It's probably just that. We called a halt to our team. And actually, me and the other program managers, the station program manager, stopped and pulled everybody. And we actually went through this same EVA 23 presentation. Because this happened long enough ago that half our team members weren't there when EVA 23 happened. We reminded them of this. And we are going back and making sure that this is not what we're doing to ourselves. In fact, it could be that issue. It might be, but we can't go into that problem thinking that, or we will miss something bigger and better. And in fact, we found some things that we think will make us safer going forward in EVAs. In our world, the answer to that, one of the things that we did after Columbia is we created this concept called technical authorities. I have an engineering technical authority. I have a safety technical authority. Those are very experienced senior engineers that have that kind of experience you're talking about. And they are separate from the programs on purpose. They are there to be a kind of check and balance with the program managers whose job is to get the mission done. Now, they want to do it safely as well, but their job is really to get it done. So our technical authorities focus on that, and we work really hard to make sure our technical authorities don't fall into that. In fact, I'm kind of a fan. I was the engineering technical authority for Space Station for a long time. And after about 7 or 8 years, when I caught myself doing that, oh yeah, that's a failure. I've seen that a bunch of times. It was time for me to move on. It was time for me to actually go do a different job. And so we have to be really conscious about making sure even our experts don't fall into these same patterns that we talked about are the issue, because it's human. It's not an experience thing. It's not like once you have 30 years of experience, you won't suffer any of these problems that Beth and Laurin are talking about. Oh, yeah, absolutely you will, because you're still human. You're still a person. You'll still suffer from that. So I think you have to be really conscious about how you address that.
Around the water in the helmet.
What happened? Well, what caused it?
No, actually, because when you shouted out the answer, you said what was unexpected, and you said that the water in the helmet was unexpected. It was just two things, really. It didn't feel like they reacted in a way that the water was unexpected.
Yep.
So is that true, or was it just that the volume and the continuing presence of the water was the surprise?
Two good questions, and I'm going to talk about normalization and deviance because there's two great examples, and that was one of them. One of them is the CO2 sensor. To understand why the CO2 sensor was so important, you have to understand a little bit how the spacesuits work. they're in essentially a balloon. And if we pressurize that suit up to 14.7 psi, the air pressure, they wouldn't be able to move. It would be they'd be fighting it the whole time. So we actually lower the pressure in the suit down to about 3.5, 4 pounds per square inch. Well, at 4 pounds per square inch, if you were breathing regular air, you'd be dead very quickly. You'd be unconscious immediately, you'd be dead very quickly. So we actually run those suits with 100% pure oxygen inside. At 100% pure O2, you can actually live at 4 psi just fine. Unfortunately, what happens is you breathe out, your body metabolizes that oxygen into other things, and one of those being carbon dioxide, which is very poisonous. And so as the CO2 works its way through the system, we scrub it out, but we have a little sensor in the system that helps us monitor the CO2 levels. And that sensor doesn't like to get wet. But at the end of a very long EVA, 6-7 hours, moisture can just naturally build up in the system, and it can condense on that little sensor, and it fails in a way that we've kind of seen before. But it's always happened at the end of a very long EVA. This, EVA 23, it happened 38 minutes into the EVA. And not a single person on the ground of the hundreds of people who were experts on EVA watching this went, wow, 38 minutes versus 6 hours. Is it telling us something? Everybody missed it because we were just used to CO2 sensors. In fact, you saw Luca goes, CO2 sensor's bad. My checklist says keep going. As long as I feel fine, we're good. So we missed it. The other thing is the water. Having water in your helmet in a spacesuit is never a good thing. But we have a suit, we used to call it the spitter. 3008 was the number designation. At the end of a long EVA, you get enough moisture just from natural condensation in the system. Gets a little bit into the helmet. We get something on the order of a marble or a golf ball size, a bit of water in the helmet. We saw that enough times that we convinced ourselves that that was okay because it never caused a problem. It never hurt anybody. It was never an issue. And I think that is really the primary cause that took us 23 minutes to terminate the EVA. We should have, as soon as Luca said, man, there's water in my helmet. What the hell? That's not good. Come back inside, Luca. Especially at 44 minutes. But I think we were so convinced, we were so used to that being just a normal condition, we convinced ourselves that that was okay. Two perfect examples of normalization of deviance. What you don't see is we've actually changed, coming out of this incident, we changed literally hundreds of things. It completely changed the way we do not only spacewalks, the way we do every critical operation on board space station. In fact, my boss at the time said, look, I want you to go tell us how to get better at this, but what I really want you to do, Bill Gerstenmaier, who was the head of human spaceflight at the time, called this incident a gift because he'd lived through the incidents where we killed astronauts. And in this case, we didn't kill Luca, and we didn't hurt him. He goes, this is a gift that we must take advantage of. And so we use that to change, like I said, literally hundreds of things. A few things you see from the movie. The fact that Chris and Luca's tethers were routed differently. We don't do that anymore. We keep them closer together. There's a snorkel that we put inside the suit that even if through all our best efforts, water got in there, they have a way to keep their breathing path open. We have an absorption pad in the back that allows the crews to absorb water. We have changed procedures all through the whole system. We've taken this very seriously, even though on EVA 80 we got more water in there than we like. We have stopped doing EVAs for the moment until we go make sure that we, by God, understand this issue. Turns out we actually had seen this problem that happened in EVA 23 earlier on the ground, and we knew that water could get in there the way it did. We assumed, though, that if that happened, what would happen is the water would hit the little fan blades and it would stop the fan, which is not a good thing because you need air circulating, but we knew how to deal with it because there's 100 things that can stop that fan from spinning. Turns out in zero gravity, that's not what happened. The water managed to find a way around the fan blade. When it happened on the ground, it always stalled out that fan. So it was a lack of imagination. We didn't understand how in that really complex environment water was going to behave. We know a lot about surface tension, and we've been playing with water in space for a long time, but it was just such a complex environment. We misunderstood how it was going to manifest itself in this way. So yes, absolutely, we treat it much differently, but I would say not even just that. We've really taken those lessons and applied them to a lot of sort of more dynamic things that we do on board space station. And in fact, in the new suits we've actually designed out a lot of these failures in the next-gen suits that we're building now. They're actually, the water and the vent loops are physically separated by structure. So there's actually no way for them to get in unless we have a structural failure.